Dobry dzień, Megovanen Melanin. Hello, everyone. Greg, you choose to be a Noldo. That's fantastic. Welcome to Ukraine. As you can see here, I was just about to start the stream, and then my power shut off again. It was supposed to be on during this time. Welcome to my new studio, underground. I am standing up, by the way. This is a standing desk. I'm not sitting down in a tiny little box, just so you know, as some of my a couple of my students thought. Anyway, welcome. Thanks for coming, all of you. We have a lot to talk about today, this week, and you'll forgive me if I'm a little bit disorganized today, because either with this whole power situation, the incredible heat wave going on, and in fact, I just came back from my physiotherapist again, and it finally we had rain, crazy rain in Kyiv yesterday. No rain here yet, but may the odds be ever in our favor, I guess. Quite a heat wave going on. I don't know. Next to the sex tunnels. Yeah, no, those are in Lviv, I think. I'm not sure, but reasonably certain. Though, is the wife punishing me? No, she was not very happy about this idea of me going down into. This is basically the root cellar. Oh, hey, Greg. Yeah, you are in Kyiv. I hope it's okay I say that. You are in Kyiv. It's great to see you on the stream. Thanks for coming. Yeah, it was very windy today in my part of Ukraine as well. But that, if you live in California in the summertime, at the end of summer, early fall, we get these crazy hot winds called the Santa Ana winds or Diablo winds. And it's miserable. Yeah, so no, Mr. Squiggle, the wife is not punishing me. This is normally where the family, actually, my father-in-law built this. It's very well insulated. And of course, it is underground under the house. And this is where they keep the like root vegetables in the wintertime. So it's like a free refrigerator, which is great for me because I hate hot weather and I hate hot temperatures. We have decided we're gonna buy an air conditioner this weekend. They're about 10,000 grivnas for the smallest ones. So I think it's that's good news for me because I've been trying to get the wife to agree to buy an air conditioner since we came here, since the war started. So 39 degrees in Kherson. Yeah, it's much cooler down here, Mr. Squiggle. Yes, it's fantastic actually for me. If you're wondering, I just jumped. I came home from the physiotherapy and immediately went to the outside shower. It's a moderately cold shower. It's probably what saved me from heat exhaustion, to be honest. So yeah, man, guys, what do we say? I thought it couldn't get any worse, and here we are. We've got this guy, and he's awful for Ukraine. He's awful, I mean, he's awful for America, but especially for Ukraine. And yeah, pretty much. I don't see a reason why I should leave here. I do need to get like a stool, or a high chair, so that I'm not used to, but it's better for my back. The stand-up desk is much better for my back. So, of course, none of that's gonna fucking matter if this guy gets elected. You know, really. Um, we've heard the things that he said about Ukraine, and if you send help, Michelle, yeah, I mean, honestly, um, I fear more for American democracy than I do for Ukrainian democracy at this point. You know, it's really it's really nuts. It's really nuts, and I mean, just in case you thought that Trump was somehow on the fence about Ukraine, or you never know what he's going to do. Well, now we know based on his vice presidential pick, and I think that this guy, I had him mixed up the other last week. I had him mixed up with the eye patch guy. Um, um, but I do know that he definitely has he has arguably some charisma. I guess he knows how to riz people, rhetorically speaking. Um, but the most important thing, and this is something that a lot of people have remarked upon, um, is that go away, get out of here. Um, a lot of people have remarked upon the fact that this guy is basically bought and paid for by Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel is the reason why I didn't want to use Lord of the Rings metaphors when I started doing this, because he does. And if there was ever I mean, he's an evil dude, honestly. Um, Evil genius would be the right word. And if you don't know about who he is, um, he was partners with help me, Tesla. Oh my God, James, what's wrong with my brain? Elon Musk. He was partners with Elon Musk um, in PayPal, and they had a huge rivalry for quite a long time. Oh, good to know, Mitch, that you're just listening. I need to always remember that some people, much like myself, I mainly listen. Um, so I always need to, yeah, Mr. Squiggle, that's what I decided. I'm going to out metaphor him. Correct. Correct. Lord Stinky, yes. But yeah, so this guy, he basically bought and paid for Vance. So what we're seeing here is when I describe this to my fellow Ukrainians, I describe this situation with this, basically virtually unknown dude who, in just a few years, rising to the top of America's political pyramid. Um, they say, wow, that sounds a lot like Ukraine's politics for most of the last 20, 30 years. Um, in other words, um, the way Ukrainian politics has worked, and this even includes Zelensky, is if you wanted to get elected, you had to find an oligarch to sponsor you, and very very often, in fact, oligarchs would just go hunting for whatever idiot they could find, who would basically help them with their own corruption, whatever corrupt regulations they wanted to get around or something like that. Yeah, Levicat, Gondor and Mordor and all of those things in uh, Ukraine. These memes, hang on. These memes have been around since the beginning of the war. There we are. You know, And I think it's generally quite apt, in fact. And now we have, so I should view this in the new tab. There we go. Okay. Anyway, yeah, it's entirely apt. So, oh, good morning, Bill. Ukraine is Gondor. Kiev is the White City. That's right. Europe and North America is Rohan, and the men of the West and maybe the elves. Yeah. And Moscovia is Mordor, and with its orc army led by Saruman. Some people put Isengard in Belarus. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I'm planning on putting this map, some version of one of these maps, on I'm planning on putting some version of one of these maps on the Discord, and it's actually going to be an important point of reference, in fact, for us to use. Okay, I'm sick and tired of coming up with Twitter. Really hating on Twitter right now, because we know now, of course, that Musk is shadow banning pro-Ukraine content. Wow, Ken, thank you so much for that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And Orban is Grimo Wormtongue. Oh my god. You might be right. Yeah, so you're 5 minutes behind, Maria. It's okay. I'm 5 minutes behind too. Okay, so you think it's going to hurt them because Republicans are not crazy. Many Republicans are not crazy MAGA people. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe you are right. But the thing is, JD Vance was not. I mean, he was a crazy, I would say. Okay, I don't think calling him crazy is an insult to crazy people. I don't want to do that. He's a religious nut, but willing to sell his soul, which he did. And so he was a never Trumper, like maybe just a little over 2 years ago, he was a never Trumper, and England is the Shire. Yeah, perhaps. So yeah, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe I would say this: it's not more than 90% of the electorate right now is pretty much set in who they're going to vote for. They've made their decision. There's not a question. So at this point, it's about who comes out to vote. Who comes out to vote? Well, Shere Khan, yeah, I agree. All politicians sell their souls. It's just, I guess, it's whether you do it with style or not. So JD Vance was ostensibly, like an evangelical Christian. And the thing about evangelical Christians, based on my experience as an evangelical Christian, is very often once they sort of, in their heart, decide to give up on that Christianity for a time afterwards, they have no moral guidance. They have no, it's kind of like, well, if I don't have to do what God says anymore, that means I can do anything. That's kind of the logic. And that's a vast generalization, but I suspect that that's kind of what Mr. Vance is kind of going through, in the sense that when he took a job with Palantir, with whenever he scored this job with what is it, like 7 years ago or something like that, with Peter Thiel, and then he saw what real money looks like. Shere Khan, has he given up his faith? Yeah, maybe he doesn't know these. He thinks that somehow he hasn't yet, but I think he has. You know, and when people rely on faith for their morality, unfortunately, that um, you know, when that faith dies, it can lead to a bad place. You know, like Amish kids who go off the reservation, as we say. Um, by the way, this my my room here is the only light in the house. Well, I guess it's still light upstairs, but so now I've got freaking flies coming in here. It's driving me crazy. I guess it's because I'm an artist. I draw flies, right? Um, that's the joke. Yeah. So, it's what faith? Yeah. No, I mean, I think he probably did have a strong sense of faith. He came from a poor Christian background in Ohio, poor evangelical Christian, and the let's see, I mean, there's some book where he actually describes first time visiting Peter Thiel's house, and basically in his book he wrote, you know, I would literally sell my soul to work with this person, and he literally said that in his own autobiography. So, didn't JD Vance switch to being a Catholic? Maybe. Um, Victoria Spartz. I have not been keeping up with Victoria Spartz. She's another one, you know, another one of these people, unfortunately. And our list of allies grows thin, as they say. You know, we're coming up on really tough times. Um, and even take a look at Germany. So Germany now saying yesterday they plan to half their draft budget, halves support for Ukraine from 8 billion to 4 billion. You know, like what? That's the last thing we need. Okay, now that you guys are talking about Victoria Spartz, let's see. She decided to run again after saying she was not running again. Um, yeah, you're right. It is. It does need to be a video. Um, let's see. I'll type it right now. Let's see what's going on with Victoria Spartz in the news these days. Oh, look at this. Victoria Spartz officially charged after charged with weapon violation, bringing gun through the airport. So she's going to be a Republican darling now, of course. Um, yeah, I think that was on purpose. I don't think that was an accident. I think you know, that's a stunt, basically. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So that's interesting, Michelle. My sister-in-law said Germany will up that amount. It's just a negotiating starting point. Okay. I mean, that's good news, I guess. It's usually people start high and negotiate low, but I guess I don't know. I guess this yeah. So I do really 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 like this fact. So um we've heard different news. There's been going back and forth about the Gripen, you know, hang on. Uh Gripen jets, and apparently negotiations are still on. So I was a little bit critical, maybe it was last week, about Ukraine kind of, turning its nose on Gripens while apparently accepting F-16s and Rafale, the French fighter jets, Rafales. Yeah, Sparts is totally anti-Ukraine. She had a lot to say about not giving aid. It was this at the was this at the RNC speech? Refuses to support Ukraine aid package as she opposes funding for Kyiv. Holy crap. I got to say, I've been a little bit I had a student this week who I literally told him that he didn't deserve to be a Ukrainian. Because he's just a coward and a traitor, basically. He runs around Kyiv, dodging mobilization, and said that, he said, I'm not a patriot, and I think that this war is a conspiracy. So he's basically believes in all the Russian propaganda, and these people are out there. And I've talked about this before about some Ukrainians, not all, but some Ukrainians who have left Ukraine. Maybe they left Ukraine like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, and so their image of Ukraine is from 20 or 30 years ago. So yeah, it's pretty awful. Pretty awful. Our quest rides on the edge of a knife, as I believe Galadriel said. It's we we thought that we were kind of in the clear when the funding came through. This past month, and the supplies coming through, even if it was too little, too late, as I said last stream. But no, the fight continues. And the other thing, other YouTubers have already commented about, like, Jeffrey Sachs's speech in front of the RNC, right? And about how he may have gotten booed, maybe not. I'm not going to play it for you, but this douchebag that they are platforming. But we have to fight back against this stuff, these guys. And I would like to say that I think this one little thing maybe gives me hope. And those of you who are watching who are maybe Republicans or used to be Republicans, what do you think? Do you think that Ukraine, or this war in general, and these international, do you think that could be a wedge issue for Republicans? Do you think that Ukraine could make, or Trump's position on Ukraine, if he really comes out against Ukraine with, JD Vance and all these types of guys, do you think that there is a percentage of Republicans who will say, no, I think I don't want to vote for Biden, but I don't think I want to vote for these guys either. Yeah, he spewed actual Russian talking points on the RNC stage, yes, and others did too. So Biden is Theoden. Holy crap! Oh my God, Cheryl, you hit the nail on the head there. God, and Jake Sullivan is the worm tongue. Okay, yeah. Well, we need Gandalf to come and give Biden a whack in the old head because, and maybe, we know that Biden has been diagnosed with COVID. Maybe he already had COVID. You know, like maybe he had that to begin with when when he gave his when he was in Europe at the NATO summit when he did the debate. Maybe he already had it, and because he said, "Oh, I have a cold. I had a cold." Everybody. I mean, because my God, I had COVID. I've had COVID like 3 or 4 times, but I the worst was the first days of the war, and it fucked me up for literally 3 months, you know. Um yeah, Mr. Squiggle, as I recall, Sparts is from around Chernihiv, um if I'm not mistaken, which is north of Kiev. Uh yeah, she married her way out, as many Ukrainian women are wont to do, in fact. Um so I really think that if you're in America, um honestly, it's time say no. It's a it's time to say, if you stand for Ukraine, you cannot vote for Trump. That's that's the long and the short of it. You just can't. You know, one thing that um, there are. I think that Ukraine has got to look to Europe, and that's crazy because Europe has been so slow to do anything. You know, but um, Europe is taking on the lion's share now of aid to Ukraine, and not just in military. They're slowly ramping up the military part, but this is huge. 300 items of critical equipment from a decommissioned power plant coming to Ukraine on July 15th. So this already happened, um, which is fantastic because you know from right, Mr. Squiggle, 80% don't have COVID systems, then symptoms. I knew what you meant. Then remaining are variable from mild cold to extreme. Yeah, and I think that maybe that's the thing. Maybe he had COVID, and now he's going to get over that COVID now that he's been properly diagnosed, and then maybe he's going to come roaring back like Theoden. You know. Um, but let's talk about that, right? Because we can talk about Biden, and everybody wants him to step down. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I just think that's taking a really big risk. It's taking a really big risk because uh, here's the problem. JP. So ATP Geopolitics and some others have been talking about, well, Harris needs to step up, or this other person, some like Senator Kelly or Gavin Newsom. You just can't throw names out there, okay? Weird. My last 3 comments didn't post again. Yes, yeah, God, I hate when that happens. I think, Shirkan, that might actually be restream. Uh, when you guys, anytime that your comments don't post, please let me know. And reword it and try it again. I don't know how. Just try it again because Restream has an AI moderator, and I've tried to turn it off, and it keeps like coming back on. But yeah, Cheryl's right. Try all messages tab. you know. Um, yeah, Leathercat token was a full on profit. He predicted all of this 100 years ago. Uh, so So let's see, Maria. I'm following USA politics, and I can see that many Republicans are not supporting Trump. Look up Midas Touch, Lincoln Project, and many others. Trump doesn't get. Yeah. So that might, Maria. I think you're in what, Norway, Sweden, based on your last name. I'm just guessing. Um, that might throw you off a little bit, because the Lincoln Project is never Trump Republicans. And Midas Touch is, I watch or listen to Midas Touch all the time, but they're pretty, very much, I would say, left wing progressives, Democrats. So it might give you a little bit of a wrong impression. Republicans are not as much on the same platforms that progressives, Democrats are on. Republicans are watching Fox News. It's a one-way communication. If they're on any socials, um, you know, maybe they're on Truth Social, maybe Facebook, but it's a one-way communication thing. So they have their own little rabbit holes. Um, uh, yeah, Shere Khan. No, I apologize for that, and it's something that I do need to look into, because make sure you guys, anytime your messages get deleted, apparently, please tell me, because I need that feedback. But the point I was trying to make earlier is that some of the commentators, and I'm picking out JP from ATP Geopolitics, but I've heard others, particularly those who are not um, American, or those who seem to not have a good understanding of U.S. politics. We have a system for electing the president, okay, and um, the people have already voted. Okay. Now, we used to have a system before 1968, where the Democratic Convention, people technically, legally, didn't exactly vote for candidates. They voted for electors, and there were a lot of presidents were selected, or I should say, presidential candidates were selected by kind of these backroom deals at the convention. That is no longer the case, and the rules of both parties have changed. Um, and so I don't see a legal path. I'm not an expert, okay, but based on my knowledge of American political system, there's not a legal path, but not an easy legal path. Let's put it that way. In other words, the Democratic Party would have to change a bunch of rules and change a bunch of procedures. And are they are they unified in any way to be able to do that? Absolutely not. So it's Biden or Harris. Okay. Now, if Biden were to say, "Yeah, you know what, I need to step down," um, I think that I think people could respect that. Personally, I believe that. I think people could say, "You know what, good on you." Step down before it gets too bad. Um, but here's the problem, right? Who the hell is Kamala Harris? Right? Who the hell is Kamala Harris? I don't know what her positions are on anything. I mean, I was describing this to some of my, um, some of my Ukrainian students this week, like, because they were thinking, oh, vice president, it's like in a corporation, you have like the president and the vice president, and I'm like, no, no, the vice president has one job, okay, technically two jobs, okay, they're the tiebreaker in the Senate, which normally is very rare, but not currently. Or they, you know, they wait for the president to die. That's their job, to just sit around and wait for someone to die. Okay. Um, Oh God, yeah, Anna, exactly. Plus a bunch of money donations would have to be refunded. Exactly, because people, if I mean, I think that if it's Biden Harris, then it's okay. Okay, because they're one ticket, and people have been, um, yeah, the media hides her, but arguably so have historically speaking, the vice president is not someone who like goes out and speaks out a lot. It just even Biden didn't under under Obama. It wasn't a thing very much. I mean, I agree, Anna. If the news would have covered her instead of ignoring her, people would know her. I hope that she can step out and step into that position because ultimately she is going to be the president. She's going to be the president, or this douchebag is going to be the president. You know, take your pick. Because either way, both of these two presidents, they are, and no offense to any of you who are the same age as these guys, but being president is freaking stressful as hell. Okay. And there's a high chance of stress leading to death when you're that age, at any age, but when you're that age especially, you know. So I mean, what I would say about it is that Kamala Harris, I mean, maybe Kamala Harris needs to go to the airport with a gun, you know? She needs to get out there and do some, because that's what it takes in our, TikTok 30-second world of, um, punchlines and headlines. Is Let's see what's the latest thing Kamala Harris has said. Let's just see what what's in the news about Kamala Harris. See, look, doesn't she look great? She looks great. Republicans show exactly how they'd run against Kamala Harris. And it involves calling her the border czar? I mean, maybe making her a target would be a good thing, you know? But can I just be honest? I hate to say this, but I told the same thing to my students. Um, Kamala Harris is not white. Is JD Vance just Jackson Hinkle with a beard or something? Yeah, possibly. Yeah, JD Vance is fat Jackson Hinkle. That's correct. Um, but so yeah, I mean, I think it would be great to see that those two debate. I think she would melt him. I hope. She was a prosecutor. Here's the problem, right? So, um, God, and Haley. So Haley's full. What a slime. Slime. Like she called the other Indian dude. She's of Indian heritage, and who was the other guy of Indian heritage? She called him a slime. Well, she's slime now. You know. Um. So I mean, I think that that Harris could be very good, but the messed up thing is she's not white. She's going to face racism in our country. Okay. Um. She's going to have a lot of voters, turn against her because she's a woman. Okay. And they're not going to come out and say it. They're just going to say, well, I don't know. See if I don't know if she's up to it, the accent there. And we already see about, what they've been saying about JD Vance's family, right? So, uh, JD Vance wife. His wife is from India, and the Republicans, certain Republicans, have been saying all sorts of racist things about her. So Kamala Harris is of in Indian. I think she's like black and Indian. like I mean, from India, some mix of that. I honestly can't remember. She is of mixed race, and that's a problem for some people. So it's gonna be an uphill battle. Oh yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy. Thank you, Cheryl. Ugh. And JD Vance has a kid named Vivek. Yeah. Uh. Oh. Oh, Greg. Thanks for coming, and have a good time with your English class. And I hope you're doing well there in Kiev. And be sure to keep in touch, because I have contacts for you. Um. Actually, Greg, this is a good time. Before you go, I want to talk about this. So, and if you do go, I understand, but come back and watch this part of the stream because I'm going to talk about something that might be of interest to you. So, just kind of complete segue and sideways here from talking about U.S. politics. Why the people said the only way to get rid of a king is to kill them. That is why we have voting, I hope. Yeah, and I alluded to that exact statement in my video that I played for you at the beginning of my stream last time. And I don't know if you guys recall, if you didn't catch my stream last time, feel free to go back and watch. It's just the first 10 minutes of the stream. I played a video that I made, which I also I would really appreciate if you guys shared that video, which I'll just bring it up here on my YouTube, which I should have already had up to talk about. Talking about the causes of this craziness. Okay. And it's this one right here. The real reason Trump was shot, it's not what you think. Okay. And I argue in that video, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys shared this video with, in particular, the people I'd like to watch it is Dr. Gerdes, ATP Geopolitics, and Vlad Vexler. And I messaged them and asked them to watch it in their comments section, but who knows? I don't know if they will, but I'd appreciate it. Mr. Squiggle, if Greg Huey is teaching, might be an idea to see if he would do an interview. Doesn't have to show his face. He doesn't watch it. Well, yeah. Since he's in, I do hope to get up to Kiev and have coffee or something with him soon. Why the people? I watched the last 10. Sorry, I was an absent teacher. Yes. Yeah. So the point I was trying to make in this particular video that I shared with you here is that this lack of education is what really led to the shooting and what's leading to the inevitable decline of democracy, not just in the United States, but in many and multiple countries. We kind of go in these cycles, and I talked about how democracy is kind of a new thing. And we tend to take it for granted, and we can't. But the problem is that we're taught for 12 years in a totalitarian dictatorship, and we're taught to live like that. So how can we continue to sustain democracy if what we are taught and what we are used to in our formative years is the exact opposite of that? So yeah, Maria, the Bulwark, that's another good one, and I watch them as well. So here's the point, right? Right after that, right after that live stream, I had someone call me, a Ukrainian call me, in particular, a Ukrainian from this school This is a school that I teach at or have taught at. I haven't taught there since March. But I teach classes there on a regular basis. And then the name of this school is My Bootney School. Boy, my computer or my internet is dog slow right now. I'm going to have to really be careful. So this school, My Bootney is Ukrainian for future. It means future. And these are actually some of my students. It's a kindergarten through 12th. Oh, thank you, Philippe. You sent your daughter my video. That's good. I'll be curious what she has to say. Oh, okay. Peter Zion is an economist who has some pretty good commentary about the cycles of democracy and political parties. I'll be interested in that. I occasionally listen to Peter Zion, but I haven't heard his notions on that particular subject. Yeah, I'm hearing that the shooter may have suffered from manic depression and research locations of Biden Trump. I mean, that's possible. I think it was more important to the point that he was came from a extremely right wing family, or at least his father was, and he was bullied. He was bullied in school. Yeah, Leathercat. Civics used to be in high school. They removed it because of reasons. Yeah, Belle. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she doesn't have civics in her school. Exactly. Because why do you need it? You don't need it if you're just going to be a slave. So, but in My Bootney, they don't just learn civics. I mean, they do learn civics, but they also practice civics. It is a democratic school. And here, I guess I can translate it. Formatting's a little bit off. So the students choose their own schedules. The students hire and fire teachers. The students decide what classes. Now, there are certain standards that they kind of have to follow. But they by and large, they choose their teachers. They decide the rules of the school. Discipline is handled collectively by the students. All of these things. And it's an extraordinarily well-run school, and the students there's no bullying. I can tell you that. There's no bullying. And yeah, I mean, civics, Mr. Squiggle, civics class is learning about democracy, learning how the government works. Okay, that's very different from actually practicing it. Okay, and from being able to take power over your own education and make choices. You know, that's a very different thing. And you probably spent time in school. If you had civics class, you might have learned how government works, but you never got to practice it unless you maybe went to like student government or something. So, um, so right after the live stream, I got a call from the communications director of this school, who I know very well, and he said, "Wow, it was amazing. Go check your Telegram, because we sent you a message last May, and there's something we want to talk to you about." Somehow they started this program. So this, if you want to know, and we can talk about priorities here for a moment, because I feel like, as much as I love this program, I think Ukraine's priorities might be a little bit off. But so what is this, right? In the USSR, there was a long tradition. So the age group for grades 10 to 11, so 16, 17-year-old students, roughly speaking. So there was a long tradition in the USSR, for better or for worse, of like they were called like defense of the motherland classes, where you learned how to like disassemble and reassemble an AK, and maybe possibly even shoot guns. Also, uh, there was a lot of like patriotic blah 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 stuff, kind of like ROTC, perhaps. Roughly speaking. Okay. Um, I believe it was compulsory, however. Um, so that was discontinued in Ukraine. I don't remember how many years ago, but most most modern Ukrainians didn't go through classes like that. A lot of them. So now they want to kind of reformulate this. It's very interesting that this school, this My Butni school, which let's face it, this looks like a hippie school, doesn't it? I mean, come on, really, and now they're doing this, okay. And so this is kind of the introductory program for setting it up, and I'll just so uh, this is like, well, they asked me to join this program, essentially. So let's talk about it here, right? And you guys can look at the. So I mean, they have a big emphasis here in the pictures on drones and stuff, but it's not just about that. It's basically like somewhere between military training or ROTC and the Boy Scouts. Yeah. Um, so right now, the approach to teaching the defense of Ukraine course in grades 10 to 11 is being updated. Uh, Formerly Defense of the Fatherland pre-military training. So they kind of tried to implement this, and I don't think it was very good. So, so the government allocated 1.74 billion in subsidies from the state budget to improve the qualifications of male and female teachers in this course, as well as the purchase of equipment from shooting simulators and training drones to first aid kits and medical mannequins. So teenagers will be taught TCCC, tactical medicine to some degree, I think. They'll be taught drones, and a lot of other stuff. It's very interesting. So this is the right here, what we're looking at here. This is the project management timeline. And so they literally started developing the curriculum for this in May of this year. And the training of trainers was just completed, and I missed it. I didn't know because I didn't see the message in my Telegram. Are all schools on the same teaching rules in Ukraine? Government schools are, yes. My Butni is not a government school. It's a private school. But now the government has asked them, in conjunction with, interestingly, and I apologize here, the pictures are not coming up, but in conjunction with like a drone, there's a military school, that's this one. Boy, I have settings on my Chrome, on Google Chrome, that force dark mode, because I hate white on my screen. But sometimes it screws with complex HTML formatting. So like MOLFAR is an agency providing intelligence services in 39 countries. MOLFAR means wizard in, let's say roughly wizard in Ukrainian. Conducts courses on OSINT and human intelligence for civil servants. So they're spy trainers, right? Boriviter is a military school that has trained servicemen and women, 29,000. And of course, this is My Butni. And then we've got Victory Drones, one of the largest drone training projects. Solomian Cats, charitable foundation for medical care. Azov is involved in this. Okay, it's amazing. So it's just, to me, as someone who's been very frustrated at, okay, all these other ones. Okay, someone who's been very frustrated at not being able to do enough here in Ukraine, like trying to get into the goddamned army and everything else. Um, uh, uh, I wasn't sure I was going to make that video, and they, and I'm so glad I did, even if only like 150 people actually watched the video. I got a call from somebody who, would not have otherwise called me if they hadn't seen that in the live stream. So I'm really glad that I decided to share it with you guys last time. And so, here's the thing I would say about it, though. So I'm probably going to become one of. I'm going to meet with them next week. But I'm probably going to become one of these trainers. Here's the weird thing about it, though. Like, why are they doing this for children? Like, this is going to be implemented apparently at about 2,000 cities, and it's not going to be necessarily. It's going to be separate from the schools. And by the way, the one thing that is really important about all of this discussion is that one of the key components of this training is not just like how to disassemble an AK, not just military stuff for children, because I think that I there are ethical issues with this. Okay, it's teaching children how to be citizens of a democracy. The basic philosophy behind this, and this is why having a democratic school be involved is so important. The basic philosophy behind this program is exactly what I was saying in my video, which is that we have to teach children to be responsible citizens through practice of democracy. And a big part of this of these courses, and they are going to be separate from the school system, because the school system here in Ukraine, while it is being reformed, has a long way to go. This is teaching the next generation of Ukrainian citizens to actually be citizens. Okay, and not just to. I mean, look at all these subjects here, right? So, this term "out of politics," this is a translation, but this is kind of a turn of phrase that people say in both in Russia and Ukraine. I'm out of politics. The general consensus of people like that being that if you're not a politician, you shouldn't be involved in politics, which of course is fundamentally anti-democratic, right? But let's face it, 80% of Americans feel almost the same way. Only 20% of Americans pay attention to politics, in any reasonable way. Okay. So the basic premise of this is the one of the reasons that this whole war is happening is that because not enough people were paying attention, not enough people cared. Catherine, thank you very much for coming. I know you're getting up at before God. So have a great night or morning there in Australia. I'm glad that you came. So you can see there's these different parts, these different organizations that are involved. Azov and Molfar and the military school and all these other ones, they're handling different parts of the curriculum, but the overall organization is being done by the Democratic school by my Butney, which is pretty amazing. But just think how fun, like Azov. Okay, now boy, why don't we have some Russian trolls in here right now? We should have some Russian trolls in here saying Azov is training Ukrainian children. Oh no. I'm hoping I should have led with that. That should have been the beginning of my live stream. Maybe I need to go back and I'm not skilled enough to edit this stuff, but maybe I will. JP Vanek from South Africa, thanks for coming. U.S. people learn politics on TV. I think "learn" is a strong word, Philippe. I think they watch it like they watch soap operas, at best, if they watch it at all. So these things that each of these little this is Molfar's teaching about information security. What's open source intelligence? What are the main sources we can use when searching for various data? Fact checking. What are the rules? Basic rules for verifying the truth of information. Cybersecurity and the conditions of information war. How do we protect ourselves? What dangers surround us? Like, that's practical freaking knowledge, guys. Here's the civics part, right? Basics of national security, and this is the part that my Butney specifically does in the curriculum. How does the state work? What efforts should be made and where exactly to strengthen it? What are the strengths and weaknesses of democracy and authoritarianism? How does civil society give birth to professional organizations, experts, and solutions? This, to be honest, adults need this. And I think and so I have a little question about misplaced priorities, because I think that a lot of this training, adults in I almost said America. I should say America. Um, Adults in Ukraine need this training. Okay, but I do wonder if so much of the funding, they got $1.4 billion. Where did that money come from? 1.74. Sorry. I do wonder if that money is not earmarked specifically for like children's education in some way. I do wonder if there's not some sort of a restriction on that money and how it can be used. Like, because there's all this money coming from Europe and from different NGOs and things. So here's the deal, right? You guys know, or some of you know who've been watching me for a while, that I've had this proposal floating around for quite some time. It's my Homes for Heroes project that I kind of had a couple people working on with me, and then it kind of fell through. And so this is going to be my next iteration of it, because basically, while the while the children are going to be taught, we can invite whoever we want. As a teacher, adults I can allow adults to participate as well. And I have a feeling, I hope, that there's going to be a lot of adults who want to train in some of these things right alongside the students. For instance, adults who know they might be, or afraid they might be drafted, mobilized, as they say here, and need, they want to make sure that they get more training than they are liable to get if they just get drafted into the military. Weirdly, Cheryl, weirdly, this live stream doesn't show up in my watch history, but Rick the Ukrainian simultaneous live stream that I've only peeked at does. I'm sorry, I didn't know that Rick was doing a simultaneous live stream. Shit, I honestly, I've been so freaking busy, and my time is so constrained with these power outages. I just didn't have time to check who I was Yes. By the way, if you guys want to click like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Um, Most important thing you can do is share my channel and share links. Share this. Um, so I'm talking about this with you guys not just to say like, wow, it's so cool that um, my live stream actually led to something last time. And oh, it's so cool that I might be doing this. But also, I want those of you who are watching and who might be interested, and maybe you're thinking about coming to Ukraine, as some of you have talked to me about. And Greg, this is why I'm very sad. I hope Greg comes back and watches this part. Um, this might be an opportunity for some of you who want to do a little bit of volunteering, come for a short period of time to Ukraine, like you only have a couple of weeks or something like that. Um, if I do end up doing this and I am involved in this program, talk to me. Talk to me, because you can, my students will love. I can tell you, almost all Ukrainian students, um, not almost all Ukrainian students, are extremely eager to meet foreigners um, who come here to help Ukraine. It's absolutely fascinating. They're shocked every time they meet someone who actually came to Ukraine to help Ukraine. And they're just blown away by it every single time. Um, so just think, yeah, okay, this makes sense, Cheryl. So Rick is off his usual Wednesday schedule, so he's got the same constraints with power and things that I do. Um, Maria, you should look at at education system in all of Scandinavian countries because they are good and free. The biggest problem is that the right allowed privatization in the 90s era. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Scandinavian education. I don't have, a, yeah, I don't have I've just heard things. I haven't really studied it. Um, but thank you for bringing that up. I mean, we know that Scandinavian education, by all measures, is the best in the world. So, um, so yeah, um, that's. I just wanted to give you guys some good news, because last stream was terrible news, and it still is terrible news. I I would like to ask you guys. We are still holding this raffle, and this. All right, now I'm gonna have a T-shirt raffle. I swear to God, I'm gonna do it on Saturday. I swear to God. But it does give you guys the opportunity. Um, so at this point in this raffle, we're trying to get to $3,000 here. So to be honest with you, if you do nothing else from this stream, um, share that link, please. Okay, because these guys they desperately needed a truck last month, and most of them died. So now it's going to be this guy and his new platoon is basically what it is, and a bunch of new recruits coming in. I actually interviewed. I was really excited. Um, oh, let's see. Rick changed his schedule. Was supposed to be last night and starting in 1 hour. Yeah, I it's like we don't we don't get to choose anymore. You know. Um, in any case, um, we need $3,000. We need to get to $3,000 for this. Now I have other. I only have two groups that we're supporting right now. Okay, the one is the secret drone lab near the front, Ithil Ambar, that I visited back in June. Was it May or June? These guys that you see in the picture here, and Alpha Company First Battalion. And so if you got $5, please do. I keep meaning to add the PayPal in. So if you've donated through PayPal, I have to go and manually add that here. It doesn't go in automatically. Um, but that's the QR code for the PayPal. But also, give me a second here. I can change. And now you can see that is my email there that I'm sharing with you. And I will type it here. So that's the email. That's not the email for me. I don't read that email. It's just for it's just for PayPal. And it's the PayPal that I use for. So if you prefer to use PayPal rather than your credit card online, some people do. I don't think PayPal is more secure anymore. I think it used to be more secure, but it's not. It's equally secure. Let's say I would argue as using your credit card on a trusted website, and Shopify is pretty well trusted. Very soon, I'm going to be changing this domain. It's no longer going to be whyukraine.myshopify.com. It's going to be just whyukraine.com. It will still be on Shopify though. I'm just going to change the name. So you should still be able to go to both. You're right, Maria. So you're from Norway then. So because Norway was a poor country before, just like the rest of Scandinavia. Yeah. And I know a little bit. I've read a little bit about the education system, but I will go back and study it more. I know that there's definitely a heavy heavy emphasis on social responsibility, which I think is incredibly important. I am of Norse heritage myself. If you want to know, Maria, my grandmother's family came from Lier, which is just north of Drammen, and so southwest of Oslo. So if you know that area, that's where my roots go. Oh, and also competing with Brandon Mitchell's premiere. Fantastic. Well, listen, guys. I am on limited battery today, and so I think it's a good idea for me to cut this a little bit short, just for the purpose of saving my power. But I just want to emphasize this, especially if you're in America, we can't let this stand. We can't let this go through. Don't give up. See, here's the thing. People see this stuff and they say, "Oh, I give up." Biden is a sick old man, and I just don't want to vote for him. What's going to make the difference is in this election is not is not polls, okay? It's not going to be 2 points up or 3 points down. It's going to be who comes out to vote on election day. That's what's going to make a difference. Okay. And if you allow yourself and if you allow your friends to be demoralized and say, "Oh gosh, I don't know about Biden, or I don't know about Harris," um, that's what is going to cause that's what's going to cause this to happen, guys. Um, so don't fall into that despair, okay? Because that's just exactly what Mordor wants you to do, you know. And yes, Leathercat, I fit right in Ukraine, given the Rus history. Yes, pretty much. And Maria, I also lived in Sweden as well. I lived in Frännered near Jönköping. I hope you, Richard Stevens. Thank you for mentioning that. By the way, I wanted to mention that I sent you, or I guess it was your wife, maybe. I think you had one package or two package. I can't remember. Anyway, everybody's packages went out already, so they're on their way to you, and you should get a notification in your email soon. Yeah. So, guys, just hang in there. Don't give up, and let's fight the good fight. You know, and someday we'll win. So, Slava Ukraine, everybody. Do побачення.